If you are currently in the process of putting in a transfer application, or you're trying to figure out whether transferring a college is for you, then you're at the right video. Hi, my name is Kevin. I transferred from the University of Florida to the University of Michigan last year. I have been studying at Michigan for a year now, and I just want to share some of my transferring experience when I was doing my application, share things that I did that I think improved the chances of me getting accepted, and just overall strategies and recommendations. And just to clarify, I did not transfer to Yale, but I promise it'll be relevant later. Okay, so why did I transfer? Well, for context, I was doing computer science at Florida, and I participated in a few clubs during my freshman year. One of them happened to be design related, and in that club, I found out about this very niche field called user experience design or UX design, and I fell in love with it. It's a field about designing the user experience of digital products, like designing the user interface and user flows of apps and websites. But then when I tried to search for UX courses as electives for the upcoming semester, I couldn't find any. So that kind of sparked my interest to search elsewhere, to search for other user experience related programs at other universities. So what I did was go on Google, search for UX and I think undergraduate degrees, and found a list of schools. And then University of Michigan happened to be one of the only schools that offers UX as a undergraduate degree program. So that's kind of how I found out about the school. Something else that I did that solidified my determination to apply for transfer was searching about career outcomes from LinkedIn. What I did was I went to University of Florida's alumni page, and there I searched UX as a keyword, and I barely saw any alumni who works in the UX field. But then when I did the same thing under University of Michigan's alumni page in LinkedIn, there were just so many people that are pursuing a UX related career. So that kind of helped me solidify knowing that the school has a better career outcome specifically for this field that I'm interested in. So I highly recommend that could be something that you can also look into if you're unsure about whether to apply as transfer. So once I knew I wanted to transfer, the first thing that I checked was the program's official website. And on there, I noticed a few very important details that include that the application would require a mandatory recommendation letter. It would require me to have satisfied the prerequisite requirements, as well as preparing for 3 application essays, possible supplemental materials, including a digital portfolio that's optional, and most importantly, the application deadline. I think the application deadline for my application was somewhere in the February of the year I applied, so I made sure to have prepared all the essays and recommendations ready by roughly at least January of the year. For the recommendation letter, I went and asked one of my freshman year English classes professor to write for me. I thought it was a great choice because, well, for one, it was one of the smaller classes that I was part of, and she was able to better speak to my activeness in class participation. And something else that I did was, since I found out about my interest in user experience design, I reflected that into my coursework in her class. So some of the writing assignments, I specifically wrote that about design, so she wouldn't be a stranger to know that I have an interest in design. So I think that, to a large extent, helped with her to write a stronger recommendation letter specifically for my transfer case, because she knew that, for one, I was active in class, and second, she was able to prove that I had interest in design far before filling in the application and beyond the essays. So maybe that's something you could do too. I don't have too much to say about prerequisite classes and requirements. All that I want to say is very important, so make sure to check the website early enough so that you can register for a class before or actually after you submit the application. What I know is some schools accept that you can take the prerequisite classes during the semester when you submit the transfer application. So that means that schools are typically fine with you taking that class during the spring semester, which is when typically you would submit the application. But definitely double check with the school by maybe sending them an email just to make sure you don't get it wrong. As for the application essay, I think the two main things I want to mention is, one, you should strike for a balanced or positive tone. You probably wouldn't want to be hating on your current school, although that could be what you think, but try to emphasize and focus on saying what does the school you're applying to appeal to you, instead of saying how my current school is so bad that it doesn't offer this degree program. Also, just general writing tip, save enough time for writing, because once you finish writing a first draft, leave it for a week, don't look at it, and come back to it, then immediately you'll probably notice a lot of rooms for improvement. So definitely save enough time and do not write and do not start from the last minute. Something I think is definitely worth mentioning in the essay is, what are some of the specific classes that appeals to you in that program? Whether there are professors doing research that interests you, or student activity, student orgs that's available on campus that you might want to join. Those are all, I think, good evidences to lay out in the essay to prove that you have done the research and you know exactly what you're trying to get into. One resource that I made a good use of is the transfer office hour. So depending on the program you're applying to, there could be a chance that the department or the school offers transfer admission office hours, where you can book like a 30 or an hour long meeting with one of the transfer application representatives, and just to talk about any questions you might have. This is a perfect opportunity to get to know more about the program and answer any of the specific questions or concerns you might have specific to your case. It's just a very helpful bit of resource to take advantage of if it's available. And kind of circling back to my earlier point about LinkedIn, it's actually a pretty good tool to reach out to people if you're unsure about whether this school or this specific program might be for you. You can totally reach out on somebody who is a graduate of that program on LinkedIn and see whether they'd be interested to schedule for like a quick 15 minutes coffee chat to learn about that specific program and their experience. At the end of the day, you're trying to transfer in order to get closer to reaching your career goals. And I think that's precisely what I did, because currently, and this is where it connects, I am wearing this shirt because I'm doing a summer internship at Yale as a user experience design intern. And I have all to thank for the curriculum, the courses that were available at Michigan. These were the same classes that I stated in my transfer application essay, including, for example, one of them was Intro to Qualitative Research, where I think because of having that knowledge in the job interview, it really helped me stand out against other candidates. So if you're able to clearly lay out what are the specific reasons that the school appeals to you and why those resources can get you closer to achieving your career goals, I think you'll have a great chance to convince the admission officers into accepting your application. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. I hope the information has been helpful for you. I remember during my own application process, I was searching on YouTube for other people's experience sharing videos, and I found those to be very helpful. So hopefully my advices has been beneficial for your application process. Well, yeah, best of luck, and maybe see you in another video.